Okay, this is about sentence fragments and run-on sentences. So we're going to go over what is a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment is a group of words or a group of words that does not have either a subject or a verb or does not express a complete thought. So it's anything that might look like a sentence, but it doesn't have all three components. So I'm going to delete this. It is a group of words that does not have either a subject or a verb or does not express a complete thought. So it's missing one of those things. A sentence and a clause must have a subject and a verb. A run-on sentence is a group of words that has three or more independent clauses. I want you to commit that to memory, three or more independent clauses. So we have seen several times that we are identifying multiple clauses. And so let's maintain this I can't talk today, this definition. So let's go through the practice. Let me make these. I don't know why we have them all so close together here. Give me just a second. When I put this in Amazon to publish it, a lot of my formatting changed. And so that's why sometimes some things are wonky. Okay, so let's go through, and I'm going to follow all of the same rules. I'm going to find the prepositional phrases. To Indonesia is a prepositional phrase. On a boat is a prepositional phrase. Across the harbor to the island beyond, those are two prepositional phrases. Okay, so always identify your prepositional phrases. You can mark them out if you need to. All right, now I'm going to find my subjects and verbs. He is the subject. Bought is a ticket. I'm sorry, bought is the verb. She is the subject. Rode is a verb. And she is a subject. And bought is a verb. Okay, now I want to go through and identify, put my brackets around my clauses. So let's just take a look before we do that. I have one set of subjects and verbs here, another right here, and another right here. So I have three sets of subjects and verbs. So I'm going to have three clauses here. So I want to put my brackets. I'm putting it here because I don't want the next subject and verb. So we're going to know this subject and verb is one. And where do I end it? I'm going to end it right here at this prepositional phrase. And then I put the other bracket at the end of the sentence. All right, now let's go to your subject and look to the left. This one has the word because. Because is a subordinating conjunction, so I'm going to highlight that. So this is a subordinate clause. And this is what you need to do. You've got to go through all of this stuff to get to your answer. Then this next clause, we go to the subject, we look to the left. There are no words to the left. We have a subject, we have a verb, it expresses a complete thought. This one is an independent clause. The last clause, we go to our subject, we look to the left. We have the word where. Where is a subordinating conjunction. So this is a subordinate clause. Now we go back up and look at our definition. So identify the following as either a sentence fragment, or a run-on sentence. So this one, we have two independent clauses and two subordinate clauses and one independent clause. And it says if we have three or more independent clauses, that's a run-on. So a sentence fragment would mean that we are missing something. So this one is a sentence. All right, let's go to number 2. Find our prepositional phrases. At the store. So who is the subject? Underline that once. Knew is a verb. Underline that twice. And then she is a subject. And was is a verb. Okay. Now we need to figure out where to put our brackets. I know I have one at the beginning and one at the end. And I know I can only have one set of subjects and verbs. When the old person at the store who knew my mother back. All right, I'm going to put a break right here between back and when. And the reason is because I know when is a subordinating conjunction, and that leads into another subject and verb. So this second clause right here that I'm on, when she was a young girl, when is a subordinating conjunction. And so this is a subordinate clause. Therefore, now we come to the next one. Who is a relative pronoun, and when is a subordinating conjunction. So this is also a subordinate clause, mainly because who is a relative pronoun. We know it's a relative pronoun because it's acting as the subject of the sentence. So when we look at this, we see that this sentence has two subordinate clauses, and we cannot have a subordinate clause all by itself as a sentence. So this is a sentence fragment because it has two subordinate clauses. So I just want you to understand why this is a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment, it could be 796 subordinate clauses. If you have a sentence with 0 independent clauses, it is a sentence fragment. That's just the way it is. All right, let's go to number 3. To the lake is a prepositional phrase. Let's find our subjects and verb. Man is a subject. Went is a verb. During the pandemic is a prepositional phrase. He is a subject. And has is a verb. All right, so I know I've got 2 clauses here. So I'm going to put a bracket here, and I'm going to put a bracket down here. And I'm trying to figure out where I break it. A good way to look is always at the end of a prepositional phrase. So I'm going to break it right here after this prepositional phrase, because 1, it's at the end of the prepositional phrase, and 2, I know that where is a subordinating conjunction. And then I go immediately into my subject. So I know that this particular clause is a subordinate clause because I have a subject and a verb. Okay, and I have a subordinating conjunction. This is a subordinate clause. Now I have to figure out the next one. So I go to my subject, I go to the left, I look for subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. The word since is a subordinating conjunction. So this is a subordinate clause. So I have 2 subordinate clauses, therefore I have a sentence fragment. Okay, let's do the next one. To the store is a prepositional phrase. Of milk is a prepositional phrase. He is the subject, underline that once. Ran is the verb, underline that twice. He is the subject, underline that once. Bought is the verb, underline that twice. It is a subject, underline that once. And was is a verb, underline that twice. Okay, now I'm going to put my brackets so I can determine what I have. I'm going to put a bracket right here because I have that semicolon. And I have a subject and verb inside. Everything has to have a subject and verb. I'm going to put this one because of that comma, and it has a subject and verb. And this one. Okay, so now I need to go and identify what kind. So I go to my subject, I look to the left. I do not have a subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun, so this one is an independent clause. I do the same thing for the second clause. He bought a gallon of milk. I go to my subject, I look to the left, I have a coordinating conjunction, but that does not make it a subordinate clause. So this is an independent clause. And then I go to the third one and I have it. I don't have anything before it. I have an independent clause. So this sentence has 3 independent clauses. And my definition says that 3 independent clauses is a run-on sentence. There's a better way to write it. So we're going to call that a run-on. All right, let's go to number 5. On the side of the road next to the apple tree, all of that is prepositional phrase. I'm going to put a bracket, put parentheses around it, and just mark it out instead of going through the thing. So man is my subject, underline that once. Saw is a verb, underline that twice. All right, I'm going to put I only have one set of subjects and verbs, so I'm going to put a bracket here and a bracket at the end. Now I go to my subject, man. I look to the left. I'm looking for subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. The is an adjective, old is an adjective. Neither of those are subordinating conjunctions. Therefore, this is an independent clause. So one independent clause is also known as a sentence. So this is a sentence. Okay. With her name on it, those are prepositional phrases. I'm going to mark that out because we know those are prepositional phrases. They won't be anything else. And here's another with her name on it. Another preposition. It's 2 prepositional phrases. I'm just not taking the time to identify them as such. And of the card is a prepositional phrase. I'm going to mark that out. Okay. Now I want to identify my subjects and verbs. He is a subject. Sent is a verb. Underline that twice. She is a subject. Opened is a verb. Underline that twice. Contents is a subject. And fell is a verb. And she is a subject. And found is a verb. Okay, now I want to put put brackets around everything. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the first and the last and then figure it out. So I need one subject and verb. He sent her a card. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and include this prepositional phrase and I'm going to break it right here at this comma. Okay, and then I'm going to start my new clause right here. And I'm going to break it right here at this comma. I'll put a new one right here. And I'll break it at this comma. And there. Now I want to take this first clause and I go to my subject. I look to the left. I don't have a subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. So this is an independent clause. Let's see if I can just yeah, I'm sorry, my spacing's messing up. I'm just going to go ahead and put a return after each one so that it's easier to see. Okay, so this next clause, I go to my subject, I look to the left. The only word I have there is the coordinating conjunction and, so this is an independent clause. I do the same thing for the next one. I go to my subject, I go to the left, I have a coordinating conjunction and an adjective. So this is an independent clause. And the last clause, I have my subject, I go to the left, I have a coordinating conjunction. So I have 4 independent clauses. The rule says anything more than 3 independent clauses is a run-on sentence. So number 6 is a run-on sentence. Okay, number 7, I find my prepositional phrases on the tree. I find a subject, the limbs, underline that once, and I don't have a verb. So if I don't have a subject and a verb, it is a sentence fragment. Okay, number 8, I have store is my subject, closes is a verb, underline that twice. So I'm going to put my brackets around it. Since I only have one set of subjects and verbs, I only have one set of brackets. I go to the store, which is my subject, and I go to the left and I'll look for subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. The word after is a subordinating conjunction. Therefore, this is a subordinate clause. Therefore, this is a sentence fragment. We cannot have only one subordinate clause in a sentence. That is a sentence fragment. Okay, number 9. We don't have any prepositional phrases, so underline our subjects once. He is a subject. Bought is a verb. She is a subject. Wore is a verb. And she is a subject. And felt is a verb. Okay, now I want to put my brackets around it. So I start at the beginning. There's one. And there's one. I can only have one set of subjects and verbs. I'm going to put a break right here at this comma. I'm going to put a break right here at the semicolon. And now I'm going to go through and identify my clauses. So he bought the dress. I go to the word, the subject, and I go to the left. There is no subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. Therefore, this is an independent clause. She wore it. I go to my subject. I go to the left. There is not a subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. So that is an independent clause. In the last clause, I go to the subject, she. I look to the left. The word is and. It is a coordinating conjunction, not a subordinating conjunction. Therefore, that is independent clause. My rule is if you have three or more independent clauses, you have a run-on sentence. All right, number 10, in the spring showers is a prepositional phrase. I find my subjects and verbs. South winds, wind is my subject. Will blow is the verb. Underline that twice. Put the whole thing in brackets because I only have one set of subjects and verbs. I go to my subject and I look to the left. And soon the south, and none of those are subordinating conjunctions or relative pronouns. So this is an independent clause. One independent clause is the same thing as a sentence. So let's just do this over 10, and you go through, and if you got it right, you got it right. If you got it wrong, you missed the whole thing. So put the number you have correct over 10. If you missed 1, it's a 90. If you missed 2, it's an 80. If you missed 3, it's a 70. If you missed 4, it's a 60. If you missed 5, it's a 50. And we'll come back and do this again.